So we just got finished with the SmackDown Go Home episode for Backlash 2025 taking place tomorrow night in St. Louis, Missouri. And of course, as somebody put it in the comment section below, Randy Orton stood tall once again here with the RKO out of nowhere on John Cena as the show goes off the air with him holding up the WWE Championship. John Cena was advertised for this show. They saved him at the end of the episode for the main event segment. Usually they have Cena go on first. I guess this was just kind of a change in scenery, so to speak. Enjoyed this promo. I know there's other promos where he goes back and forth with the fans or whatnot. This promo was really centered around Randy Orton and sort of the comparisons that people have made between Randy Orton and John Cena. One thing you never really see on WWE television is the sort of the fans throwing garbage into the ring, right? That's something you never, for the most part, see on WWE. You used to see that back in the day on WCW, ECW, but not really much WWE. Here tonight, a fan threw a beer bottle at John Cena as John Cena, he gets the ring announcer to reintroduce him once again as the true last WWE champion, last true real world heavyweight champion, whatever it may be. John Cena stops his introduction, grabs the bottle, tells the fans like they're so low class that they have to throw beer bottles at him and so on and so forth. He says that tomorrow night he's going to ruin everybody's childhood. He mentioned the fact that Randy Orton isn't here. He's at his home in St. Louis, Missouri with his family. He said that he's actually kind of proud that Randy took his advice and took the night off and stayed with his family at home preparing for tomorrow night's match. He said that Randy Orton is the greatest of all time at wasting his potential. And one line that I actually really enjoyed here was he made a mention of Randy Orton's 2006 drug test failure. He said tomorrow night, Randy Orton is going to be just like his 2006 drug test, a failure. And he tells the fans to take a last good look at what a real world heavyweight champion looks like. When all of a sudden you hear this crescendo of people starting to buzz, you think it's Randy Orton, and you see a hooded figure in a Randy Orton hoodie go for the RKO. Cena reverses it into an AA and lays him out. Now let me put into context. This hooded figure was maybe 100 pounds lighter than the actual Randy Orton itself, because Randy Orton is like a 290 pound almost bodybuilder type wrestler, and this person here cosplaying as Randy Orton was like a $150, 170, whatever it may be. So he was super on the lighter scale. But again, Randy Orton, after this is said and done, sneaks up behind John Cena, RKOs him and lays him out. Stands tall with the WWE Championship. Again, I don't want to really reiterate the whole babyface stands tall on the Go Home episode, thing that happens, but it's got to be mentioned here. Randy Orton has consistently stood tall over John Cena, much like we saw Cody Rhodes consistently stand tall over John Cena. I am really hoping that tomorrow night we don't get some sort of Travis Scott interference, because man, if that's going to happen, that's going to seriously bring down this entire main event, because this is going to be the main event tomorrow night. So I don't know what they have on their sleeves tomorrow night, but essentially, as far as promo work, this was all that you really needed to do. As far as Randy Orton laying John Cena out, if it was me, I would have had the reverse effect, have John Cena lay out Randy Orton, maybe have people sort of second guessing whether or not Cena is going to win tomorrow night. That's what I would have done. But then again, tomorrow night is Backlash, so after this, essentially this feud has essentially ran its course. And speaking of Backlash, one thing I want to mention that I actually liked was the opening segment of SmackDown, or I guess the opening match, because usually they open up with a segment. Tonight they opened up with a match, and that was Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu against Damian Priest and LA Knight. Throughout the match, they were hyping up the tensions between Priest and LA Knight. But regardless, LA Knight got the win over Solo Sikoa, I believe. Afterwards, Damian Priest and LA Knight go at it. Then Jacob Fatu comes in, takes both men out. Jacob Fatu is standing tall with his United States Championship, when all of a sudden Drew McIntyre comes in and claymores Jacob Fatu, and Drew McIntyre stands tall with the United States Championship. Again, I do predict that Fatu, regardless of whether or not it's McIntyre, Priest, or LA Knight, I think Jacob Fatu is going to take the W over all three of these guys tomorrow night. We also got the in-ring return of Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, to my knowledge, hasn't been seen ever since the Elimination Chamber, and that was all the way back on March 1st of this year. She hasn't been seen, she hasn't been heard of. Tonight they ran this angle where Zelina Vega, she needed a tag team partner against Piper Niven and Chelsea Green in a tag team match. There's been rumblings, of course, I think all day prior to this, that Alexa Bliss was backstage on SmackDown. You know, this is her home state of Ohio. And, you know, it kind of added to my whole suspicion when they, you know, made this match official. But the fact that Zelina needed a tag team partner, I said, okay, this is probably where she comes back. And, of course, she came back here. Everybody popped big time for her. They got the win. I don't know going forward what they do with Alexa, whether they have her in the U.S. title picture, whether they have her with Charlotte Flair, because Charlotte Flair had a little backstage sort of, you know, altercation, interaction, I guess you could say, with Alexa Bliss. But speaking of Charlotte Flair made her return to SmackDown ever since, you know, her loss to Tiffany at WrestleMania 41. These Charlotte Flair promos always seem to go almost in the same direction. They start off precise, but then they end up kind of running off the hill, so to speak. She says that she took Tiffany Stratton to her absolute limit at WrestleMania, and that was after Charlotte Flair came back from a 2-year injury. She says that she's back in the title hunt. She asked the crowd why, you know, the disrespect, why the constant disrespect towards her every single time she comes out here. She told them, if you guys keep showing me this lack of respect, I am just going to leave right now. And of course, the fans booed her out of the building. She goes to leave when all of a sudden Jade Cargill walks down to the ring and has a brief stare down with her. And again, I think they're probably going to tease this down the line. A Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill match possibly at SummerSlam. Jade Cargill had a match here against Nia Jax for the #1 contendership for Tiffany Stratton's title. Jade Cargill ended up losing that match because Naomi, she caused an outside distraction, forcing Nia Jax to take advantage, and Nia Jax is the #1 contender for Tiffany Stratton. So we're going to run this play once again between Tiffany and Nia Jax. It feels like I've seen this match almost on Deja Vu, but regardless, they are going to give this match once again, possibly at Saturday night's main event. And before I end this video off, we also had the Street Profits against Fraxium here in a very good match. I was actually surprised when Fraxium got the win over Street Profits. I thought this was for the tag titles. I guess I must have misheard some things, but regardless, Fraxium got the win over the Street Profits. Regardless, this was the go home episode for SmackDown for tomorrow's Backlash 2025. Tomorrow, I think we have around 5 or 6 matches announced, if I am 100% so in the ballpark with that one. But let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know your thoughts and your reactions to everything tonight. And until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.